Louis Vuitton.
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 In 1854, Louis Vuitton, who was the son of a carpenter, founded this company. Louis made a name for himself by making suitcases, bags, and travel accessories. At that time, only the very wealthy could afford to travel on vacation. In 1892, Louis Vuitton died and the management of the company was handed over to his son. After his father's death, George Vuitton participated in the Chicago's World Fair in 1893 and began a campaign to transform the company into a global company. In 1896, the company released its legendary design and patented it worldwide. Between the years 1936 and 2000, this company used the shape and model of its letter in all its products, from small wallets to large suitcases, easier than wallets and paces. 1987 was the year of his loans. In this year, Louis Vuitton and two companies, Moët and Chandon and Hennessy, merged to produce high-quality luxury goods. In 1988 and after this merger, the profit of Louis Vuitton was reported to be 49% more than the previous year. Upon entering the 1990s, Yves Carcel was appointed as the manager of Louis Vuitton, and in 1992, the first store of this brand in China, it was opened in Beijing City Palace Hotel. In 1997, Louis Vuitton introduced its first stationery collection. In 1988, the company appointed Marc Jacob as its artistic director, opening the first store in Africa, in Morocco in 2000, and finally attending the Venice International Film Festival. Italy was the latest activity of this company in the 20th century. In 2004, Louis Vuitton celebrated its 150th anniversary. In the same year, stores were opened in New York, Sao Paulo, Johannesburg, and Shanghai. In 2005, he reopened his Champs-Élysées store, one of the largest in the world, and launched the Speedy Watch collection in the same year. Interesting facts you should know about the Louis Vuitton brand. Louis used apprenticeship of Monsieur Marshall, boxmaker. At that time, Paris was a thriving city on the verge of industrialization. The train had become a popular means of transportation for people and of course travelers who regularly traveled by train needed a more durable suitcase and travel bag that would both protect their belongings and withstand long journeys. This sparked a spark in Louis' mind. Young Louis started an apprenticeship with Monsieur Marshall, who was a successful person in packing and box making, and learned from him for 17 years. When Napoleon III became Emperor of France in 1852, his wife Eugenie hired Louis Vuitton to pack and make special boxes for his expensive and delicate clothes and accessories. This was the beginning of Louis entering the court and getting to know the royal customers, which greatly influenced the development of his business. Louis became a valuable craftsman under the training of Monsieur Marshall and was able to open his own shop in Paris in 1854. Louis Vuitton wrote on the signs of his first workshop, "Packaging your most fragile objects in a completely safe way," a specialist in packaging methods. Louis was 33 years old at the time. In the same year, he married Clémence Émilie Perriox. The first innovation, cube suitcases. Soon, Louis introduced his first innovation. At that time, the upper part of the suitcases was made round so that water would not collect on it and seep into it. This feature made it difficult to put them together and take up a lot of space. So Louis designed the first cube suitcase. These suitcases were cubic and it was easy to stack them and use the space optimally. He also thought of keeping the items inside the suitcase from getting wet. He made them of waterproof leather. In 1859, Louis built his second workshop, bigger than the first, in a village outside Paris and expanded his business. Road problems, from art theft to the destruction of the studio during the war. During this time, Louis continued to develop his business and his design became more and more popular. For this reason, this company never escaped the artistic theft of its design. Louis Vuitton has the most fakes and copies among all the brands in the world. Naturally, this problem caused huge losses to this company. To overcome this problem, he constantly updated the plans. For example, after using gray color for a long time, which was characteristic of his luggage, he decided to use beige and brown stripes in his designs. Once the Louis Vuitton business was completely destroyed during the Franco-Prussian War from 1817 to 1872, the enemy army looted and then destroyed his atelier. However, he got back on his feet and just a few months later, he opened a new workshop in the heart of Paris and his business expanded even further. In 1885, Louis opened his first store outside of France in Oxford, London, and his popularity reached beyond the borders. At this time, the forgery and theft of his designs had increased a lot, so again Louis had a new plan. This time he designed the famous damier canvas pattern, which was a square with beige and brown houses, and it is unlikely that you have seen it before. He also placed the mark L. Vuitton Deposite trademark on it. You can see this famous and beautiful design below. Louis continued to produce innovative and high quality luggage for another 20 years until he died in 1892 at the age of 70. His only son, George Vuitton, took over the company after him. The next generation of Vuitton bears of the famous Louis Vuitton monogram. When George became the owner of the Louis Vuitton business, he was always careful to honor his father's way of thinking, without ever losing sight of innovation. As the head of the company, George added many new parts and changed some parts to make it a successful luxury brand. If this brand owes its success to Louis, it owes its globalization to George's. It was George who designed the Louis Vuitton monogram in honor of his father in 1896. This monogram is Louis Vuitton's most popular design, along with the diamond circle and four-pointed flower pattern. George traveled to big cities, mainly in America, to market his products to make the brand a global brand. In 1940s, he opened the Louis Vuitton building on the Champs-Élysées in Paris, which soon became the largest travel goods store in the world. He continued to expand his business and design other travel bags in addition to suitcases. In 1936, George died at the age of 79, and the family business passed to his son, Gaston Vuitton, designing iconic bags, handbags, and accessories. We said that during the 1900s, this company designed luggage, bags, and other accessories. One of their first bags was the large travel bag. Keepall came to the market in 1930 and 2 years later, its smaller version, Speedy. Speedy was Louis Vuitton's first handbag designed for everyday use. Allemand, No, and Papillon bags came after them and are still considered iconic bags. In 1959, thanks to new technologies, the company was able to design a more flexible version of the same classic design, suitable for smaller and more detailed products. Between 1945 and 2000, it expanded its collection with different categories, including small bags, wallets, and accessories. When Gaston Vuitton died in 1970, their son-in-law Henry Roquemier took over the management of the company. He was aware of the great popularity of the brand and decided to open more stores around the world. A few years later, in 1987, another milestone was reached. Louis Vuitton, Moet and Chandon and Hennessy decided to join together and form the luxury goods group LVMH. Marc Jacobs, the first creative director of Louis Vuitton. In 1997, the company hired its first creative director, American fashion designer Marc Jacobs, who previously worked for Balenciaga, took over designing menswear and womenswear collection and released his first collection within a year. Thanks to Marc's extraordinary creativity, the first decade of the new century was entirely devoted to the launch of new products. They unveiled their first jewelry piece in 2001 and their first watch collection in 2002. The brand used more colors in the monogrammed fabric and also introduced varnish and damier graphite collections. With Marc's help, collaborations between Louis Vuitton and other designers were formed, and celebrities such as Madonna, Angelina Jolie, Bono, Kate Richards, and Scarlett Johansson became the faces of Louis Vuitton. Marc Jacobs loved pushing boundaries. He tried hard to convince the company to let Esteban Sprouse make a graffiti version of the Vuitton monogram. For this, the brand name Louis Vuitton and LV had to be painted on its traditional beige and brown design. This made the bags look more modern. You can see a model of the spruce design. During this time, Marc continued to update Louis Vuitton's monogram bags. In spring 2007, he designed an all-denim bag. In spring 2010, a messenger bag with ombre dyeing where the colors changed from top to bottom without a border, and in the fall of the same year, a bag with sequin embellishments. With the increase in popularity of monogram, the range of Louis Vuitton products also increased. Jacobs even used the design for hats, tights, umbrellas, and fur gloves. The departure of Jacobs, the arrival of three other unique designers. In 2013, Marc stepped down as a creative director to focus on his own brand, which had grown with the help of the same LVMH group. He was replaced by three designers: Nicolas Guesquier for women's collection, Kim Jones for menswear, and Darren Espaziani for luxury leather goods. The last of them was Virgil Abloh, an American fashion designer who became responsible for menswear in 2018. Virgil Abloh and Nicolas Guesquier are the leading clothing designers at Louis Vuitton and continue to focus on innovation and forward-thinking design. After Jacobs, Guesquier experimented with the monogram, including twisting it into a wavy pattern on handbags in fall 2014, and carving the heel of boots into a four-pointed flower in spring 2015. A year later, leather clothes came to the market with a flower pattern with holes. The secrets of the success of the Louis Vuitton brand. With a market value of more than $51 billion, Louis Vuitton is the most valuable brand in the world. It operates in 50 countries and its retail network includes 5,003 stores. It earned 44.7 billion euros in 2020 alone. But what is the secret of this brand's success? quality of work, unique design, excellent raw materials, craftsmanship. What the Louis Vuitton brand does on its product is unique. Their quality has not changed since 168 years ago. All products leave the company's factories, which are staffed by highly skilled workers, and all of them service training from 18 months to 2 years. Genuine Louis Vuitton products are flawless and use the best and highest quality raw materials to make them. Their design is unique and nothing like other similar items in the market. Strategy: create enthusiasm and demand. In the business of Louis Vuitton, the most important word is passion. They have designed their brand strategy with the focus of creating passion. But how do they do it? From the very first day, the brand creates this passion in the buyers by combining tradition and creative innovation of the day. Remember, the first Louis Vuitton suitcases were innovative and unlike other suitcases. They were made in cubes. They are always hiring new designers with fresh ideas and unique perspectives. They work with design schools and take apprentices and young designers under their wing. They also use the collaborative design method to create creativity and innovation. Over the years, they have collaborated with many talented designers, including Japanese contemporary artist Takashi Murakami, who is the designer of the American brand Supreme, Yayoi Kusama, Stefan Sprouse, and Virgil Abloh, who calls him the Karl Lagerfeld of the millennial generation. Louis Vuitton brand market. This brand has a market in 50 countries around the world. Asian countries, including Japan, China, India, and Singapore, have also welcomed it. In 1980, he opened his first store in Japan. Until the early 2000s, more than half of the brand's sales were in Japan. Surveys show that 92% of Japanese women have Louis Vuitton handbags. China is one of the best markets for this brand. In just 1 month, the brand's largest store in Shanghai sold $22 million, which is a record. Locks made by Louis Vuitton. We should also talk about the locks produced by this brand. Louis Vuitton offers the most beautiful bags. The locks of these bags are so beautiful that they double the beauty of the bags. Its small lock can be used as a bag hanger, a key holder, or even as a necklace hanger. By the way, this chain lock is one of the most beautiful necklaces designed by Louis Vuitton. But what is the story of these locks? More than 130 years ago, precisely in 1886, Louis Vuitton and his son George designed these locks for the first time. They did not want to make a lock for decoration. Necessity demanded that they do so. Because Louis Vuitton luggage and bags were expensive and beautiful, they attracted the attention of thieves. They wanted customers to be confident that their belongings were safe in their luggage. It was really like that, because it was practically impossible to open those locks. Even when they challenged the greatest locksmiths to break the lock, they chose not to accept the challenge. In 1901, this brand released a special lock which has become popular accessory today, and its fake versions are abundantly available in the market. How to recognize fake Louis Vuitton products. Pay attention to the stitching distance from the writings and the clear, beautiful font of the original Louis Vuitton. Photo taken from the site. Legicheck. It is much easier to distinguish a fake product from the original Louis Vuitton than you think. Check out these 6 key features. 1. Stitching. All the stitches on the Louis Vuitton bag are symmetrical, perfectly aligned with no gap between the two stitches or different stitch sizes. 2. Heat seal. This seal has a special font. The letter O is written round and white, and all its letters are engraved clearly. 3. Leather. The leather used in Louis Vuitton bag is the best leather available. 4. Symmetry of the pattern. Louis Vuitton uses the whole piece to produce the product so that the patterns are perfectly symmetrical. If the design is such that they have to use two pieces, then make sure that the pieces are perfectly coordinated and the patterns match. 5. Production code. There is a production code inside each bag, which is something engraved on leather or suit. 6. Brass detail. All the brass details of the Louis Vuitton bags are marked with LV. How to identify a genuine Louis Vuitton lock. You can recognize the original Louis Vuitton lock with a series of features. 1. The logo is placed in front of the lock. All Louis Vuitton details are engraved on the lock. Centered between the V and the U, the TM symbol is wide and rounded. The L has a short tail and the two T's in the Vuitton touch each other. 2. Turn the lock and notice the seal on the back. They put 3 stamps on the back of the lock. Brand name Louis Vuitton, Paris, made in France. Exactly like this. For example, if this phrase is on the lock Louis Vuitton made in Paris, it must be fake. They never use the city after the phrase made in, and it must always be the name of the country. For example, made in Italy, Spain, USA, and Germany. 4. The locks all have a unique number. If the lock was made before 2009, it will be 3XX, and if it was made after 2009, it will be 4XX. This special number is located at the bottom of the lock. In any case, the key must have the same number written on the lock, otherwise it will not open. 5. Finally, if the lock shines like a mirror, it's fake. These locks are like silver, and over time they take on a matte finish instead of being shiny. Interesting and short facts about the Louis Vuitton brand. 1. Louis Vuitton is the second oldest luxury brand in the world, but its founder did not come from a luxurious family. 2. Louis Vuitton's early designs did not have the famous LV monogram, but originally its products were marked by the use of a durable gray tarpaulin called Trinon. 3. Louis Vuitton products have the highest number of fake versions among all brands in the world. 4. Louis Vuitton's workplace and life were one. In 1878, he and his wife built 2 houses in the garden around the workshop so that Louis could be as close to his workplace as possible. His house still retains its original decor and is now part of a private museum. 5. Louis Vuitton himself never designed handbags or clothes. Handbags didn't become part of her brand until decades after her death, and clothes came later. In fact, the first Louis Vuitton clothing line was presented by Marc Jacobs in 1997. 6. Discounted products are not part of this brand strategy. These products are only sold in its store and official website. So, for example, if they sell a Louis Vuitton bag on eBay, it must be fake. 7. On the occasion of the 160th anniversary of the establishment of this brand, 6 designers decided to design bags with the colors of the Louis Vuitton monogram. Karl Lagerfeld, Frank Gehry, Cindy Sherman, and others attended. Lagerfeld's design was most striking: a punching bag and boxing gloves with matching monograms. Maybe he meant the decades-long competition between Louis Vuitton and Chanel about accessories. 8. Kim Jong presented her first collaboration with Supreme at the Louis Vuitton Fall 2017 show. For this collaboration, they recreated Supreme's italic logo with interlocking LV letters. Naomi Campbell and Kate Moss, who were two famous models, wore leather dresses with monogram design in this program.